What is up, Ravens flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome everyone to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my co-host James Haskell. In this episode, we're going to talk about a former Raven coming home, and this time we hope it's for real, unlike the last guy. But before we do, hit the like button, click the subscribe button, and of course the notification bell so we can keep you up to date on all your Ravens news, whether it be real or in yesterday's case, maybe a little premature. But Jimbo, let the people know why we are here and what we're here to talk about.
That's right. The big boy, Michael Pierce, is coming back to Baltimore. And I tell you what, Glenn, I can't wait. If you guys, for some reason, have been following the Ravens recently and don't know who Michael Pierce is, Michael Pierce was undrafted out of Samford and came in as a defensive tackle, nose guard, right, depending on the defense that he's in. But he's an interior guy. He's basically he plays the same role as a Brandon Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had both of them for a while, and it was absolute bliss for me. However, Michael got paid by the Vikings, and since then he sat out that year. That was the year he got paid, was the COVID year. Following that, last year he played eight games, and we'll get into his stats and things like that. But I'm so excited for this move. Number one, because it's a guy that I think wants to be here, unlike Za'Darius Smith. I was trying to think of a good pun for Smith, and I couldn't. Za'Darius Psych!
Not bad.
Hey, top of the dome. That was top of the dome, baby. No, so I'm excited because I think he wants to be here. Obviously loves the culture.
This isn't are you sure? I guess we're not
switcheroo?
Sure. Yeah, is this a bargaining chip like Za'Darius used the Ravens?
No, I don't think so, and I hope not.
Okay.
I'm sure, but because they were recently burned, Eric DeCosta was extra cautious and said, look, Michael, the jet is literally outside. Get in it now. Get to Baltimore. This expires in 24 hours.
Yeah, because I did see that the Baltimore Ravens official Twitter account tweeted about Michael Pierce. So I think that they made sure that everything was, done. Yeah, before making, because I don't think they ever officially tweeted out anything about Za'Darius. It was just a verbal agreement. I think they do wait for some more than just verbal before they tweet something out. But excited to have Michael Pierce back, and here's why. It's amazing. He played his first 4 years here in Baltimore. He was like you mentioned, fan favorite, a guy that most fans really hoped they could keep here in Baltimore, but he just got paid too much. And then he only played 8 games as a Minnesota Viking. Only 8 games after sitting out COVID year. He had the injury, which was re-aggravated. But in those 8 games, there is no doubt that the guy made an impact on the field. In those 8 games, he was rated as the number 10 run defender or interior defender in the league, according to PFF. Just one notch behind J.J. Watt, DJ Reader, and Calais Campbell. So this is a guy who's still getting it done as an interior defender. And while most of the accolades or praise is in reference to his run stuffing ability, because the guy is an absolute tree inside, and you cannot move him even if you put 2 guys on him.
No, he's a fire hydrant.
There you go. He's a fire hydrant. It's 100%. But what I think is most exciting from my standpoint, and I'm going to kick it to you with this one, Jimbo, is he had 16 pressures in just 123 pass rush snaps last year and had 3 sacks.
Yeah.
So this guy, while he's similar to Brandon Williams in some ways, he could not be more different when it comes to his pass rush ability.
Yeah, 100%. And that was the reason. If you remember, he hopped on the scene, if you guys recall, game 4 of that preseason in his rookie year, where I think he had a sack in the end zone for a fumble recovery or something. It was a big play. And that's really what sealed the deal for him to be a Baltimore Raven. And that was the beginning of impact play after impact play. He's always been an impact player. And in fact, one of the things that we were talking about off air is that interior rush, guys, like in theory, it's much more valuable than edge rush. Why? Because what's the shortest line what's the shortest path from one point to another? It's a straight line, right? Mm-hmm. And it's very rare that an edge rusher gets a straight line on the quarterback. The reason that the big guys up front have a harder time pass rushing is because they're playing against these big, hefty interior guys. They themselves are big and hefty. Look at Brandon Williams. Look at Michael Pierce. And so they're not these fast twitch get off guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're, like you said, they're run stuffers first. But Michael Pierce, his entire career has been great at pressuring the quarterback up the middle for his position. Not great, like, compared to edge rushers, but relative to his role, he's great at it. And it's really exciting. I'm excited for that because, look, as much as I love Brandon Williams, he doesn't have a serious highlight reel of splash plays.
Right.
He's got some plays, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
they're certainly few and far between, and he's great at his job. The other thing I'm excited about, Glenn, because I don't think we mentioned this yet, is this deal is a 3-year, $16.5 million deal.
5.5 annually.
Yeah, 5.5 annually. So all he did was go to the Vikings, rest up for a year, hit the weights, play some, knock the rust off last year, get healthy, and now he comes home.
I mean, and really, I think the best football he has left in him is still ahead. I mean, I think that, he's 29 years old, but this is a guy who hasn't played a ton of football in comparison to most people at his age. I mean, when you sit your entire 28th year, on this planet, you sit out just to rest your body. And then you only play, like you said, 8 games is more of a he was just knocking that rust off, Jimbo. He's just really prepping to come back here to Baltimore. He's getting off
that hibernation fat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, knocking a couple baby fat pounds off. So a $5.5 million annually is an absolute steal for the guy, for a guy of his caliber, especially. And now people can say, well, he only played in 8 games. He missed 2020. 2020 sitting out was a choice.
Yeah.
And when he was in Baltimore, extremely reliable and extremely healthy. So I'm going to go on that larger sample size rather than, him choosing to sit out during the weird year that was COVID. And then, the issues to start the season last year. So I could not be, happier with this guy, because this means that they don't have to select, a big D tackle like, what's it, Jordan Davis, I believe his name is.
Out of Georgia.
Yeah, they don't have to. Now, that might mean that they don't get him with that which might disappoint some fans. But I think what it really does is it's another piece to the pie where, like Eric DeCosta said in his introductory press conferences today with Marcus Williams and Morgan Moses, is that the idea is to have no holes, no glaring holes when you enter the draft, so you can truly take the best player available. So while, bringing in Michael Pierce makes it less of a need, I still don't think that it rules out them going after a D tackle in the first round. Because remember, when Brandon was here last, who was he playing right next to, Jimbo?
Right. Yeah. Well, when
Brandon
Michael
Williams.
Pierce was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Michael was here last, he was playing. Right. So there was some redundancy. The Ravens aren't afraid of that, is I think your point, right? They want the best.
And they both, Michael Pierce has shown it in the league pass rush, but Jordan Davis is expected to show that in the league once he gets here.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's a great move. Eric said it also today, like, we're not done yet.
Right.
We're not done yet. We still have opportunities to make some moves. So, I'm interested to see. I think this is a great signing value-wise. I'm also interested to see the other moves they make. But I'm so glad Michael Pierce is back, because it's going to be fun. Look, Calais didn't provide a ton of pass rush up the middle either, based on his age and things. Yeah. Calais played great, but he's not the pass rusher he used to be. I think that's a fair analysis, Calais Campbell.
And look, Michael Pierce is never
gonna be Calais Campbell.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. He's never gonna be him, but the arc of their careers is just at a different point. And so it's certainly going to be interesting to see what Michael Pierce does. At the end of the day, think about this: is that, like, if you equate pressures and if you go straight up Moneyball, pressures and sacks per dollar, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? This is a much. Exactly.
And especially, we keep talking about the pressures because that's what gets us excited, but we're kind of overlooking the fact that he's an absolute stud as a run defender.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's crazy because it's almost a given, right? For us, being that we know who he is. The other thing too, that might be important for him is that, and this might be overlooked, he had some struggles here with his weight, but I think the Ravens staff, from the nutrition team to the performance team, they know how to get him right. They've had to do it before.
Yep.
Right. And hopefully he doesn't struggle with it. That's the last thing we want for him. But I'll tell you what, Glenn, I saw him at the Cheesecake Factory here when he was a Raven. And if they have him listed at 6 foot, he ain't a hair over 5'9". Like, the dude ain't 6 foot.
Right. But he
So
don't have to be.
no, he doesn't have to. My point is that certainly based on his frame, he's going to have to make sure he maintains his weight, and the Ravens know how to deal with that with him. They've broached that bridge with him. So I think that's also important for his career and getting as much out of him as a player as you can. So really excited, man. And honestly, I'll tell you this too, Glenn. I think that this deal would have gotten done even without Za'Darius, even if Za'Darius stayed.
Well, it certainly makes a lot of sense because they have a massive hole there when
Right.
Brandon Williams and Calais are going. But like you mentioned, this does allow them to maybe rethink some strategy and maybe continue to address the edge or to use that money elsewhere and address the edge in the draft. So it the news from Za'Darius wasn't a positive, but you can certainly flip it and kind of turn some lemons into lemonade there. And who knows? Maybe Michael Pierce was more of a direct result. Maybe they were going to go after Eddie Goldman, who they thought they could get even for even less, and because of Za'Darius, they
They had a little
decided
extra money.
it's very possible. And just to kind of reiterate this, he did grade direct. He was graded higher than Cameron Hayward, Linval Joseph, and J.J. Watt as a pass rusher, and that I think says something when you think about what those guys have done in this league. So, yeah, excited about it, and it really, just thrilled to see another Raven coming back home, even though the other, another one's maybe going back out the door.
He who shall not be named is going out the door.
Right.
So let us know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you as excited as us? Are you looking forward to seeing Michael Pierce back? Don't like the signing? Leave all your comments below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.